Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Dreams Unveiled with your hosts, Daun Whittaker
and Melissa Salazar.
And today, before we even get going, we can talk about this since it's no way I can hide it. I don't even think I can edit it out.
It's the elephant in the room, Dawn.
Yes, it is. But we can know I picked a good color. It's a nice earthy red. It really goes well.
With everything. It does show up kind of pinkish.
It does. It's red. Hopefully that's what you're seeing it as. But in any case, yes, I slipped. We had some real ice out here a couple of weeks ago, and I slipped and am now having a bone broken. I have three broken. I have a break in my hand. I have a break in my wrist and a break in my arm. So prayers and everything are greatly appreciated. I'm not in a lot of pain. Just want to ride my bike, and now I'm having to wait a long time for that.
Yeah.
The thing the great thing about it is, and I know next year Melissa will join me in this.
I will.
Before I've had on my bucket list in the winter, I need to ride my kayak down my backyard. I have a not very steep but very long hill in my backyard, and the weather worked out perfectly. And literally an hour before I slipped on my stairs on the ice, I was able to do the thing I've wanted to do. So why don't you take a look?
Okay. Oh my gosh.
The stairs, isn't that great? Everybody's like...
Oh, like when you go through the trees, I'm like, oh!
I know, and it's nothing. And
wow. How far down do you think that is?
I actually would have to ask somebody who knows that stuff. I know my land is about 2 acres, and that's the most of the length of it.
Yeah.
So
all the way to
somebody, if you're mathematically inclined, you could do that, I suppose. But it was absolutely just...
How was the walk back?
The walk back was made us decide next year we have to get a real cheap snowmobile so we can pull them up. That's how the walk back was.
I thought so.
Well, because we both were kayaking, so it was multiple trips, and I want to keep doing that, and I can't keep doing that if I have to take that thing up. So anyway, that's our fun thing. So if you think you may want to kayak in the snow, and you have snow and you have a kayak, find somewhere to do that, because that is fun. It's actually so much more stable and faster than being on a sled.
Yeah. And like you can just get in there and...
I just need to wax the bottom of it just to protect it. You know, like you do on like snowboards. Yeah. So I have to work on that. But anyway, we're going to do a few of these over the next few weeks. Our dreamer is Morgan. Morgan is from Buffalo.
Yeah.
If you watch the episode Dad at My Door, then that was also Morgan from Buffalo. So this is
a double dreamer.
I know. And the great thing about this is, and you'll see too that we have another one coming up, that sometimes dreams show progress and growth. And in both of the cases of the dreams that we're going to look at, and this is all a coincidence, we didn't really plan this like this.
Nope.
That you're going to see where there is obvious growth, obvious change in the situation. So we're very, very excited about that. And with no further ado, I will read the dream. So this is from Morgan. I had a dream that Joe, her husband remained unnamed in the other video, and I were standing next to each other during worship in church, and there was a taller guy on the other side of me, and I kept moving closer to Joe and trying to get his attention. He just kept looking around the room, and the other guy put his arm around me and tried to kiss my forehead, and I tried to move Joe between me and the guy, and Joe just was acting so annoyed and disrupted that I moved him, and he just kept looking around the room. So that was the dream. And although it appears that Joe is not there, and if you remember, if you watched Dad at the door, the dreamer indicated that she was crying out to Joe. She was yelling up the stairs. He was upstairs laying in bed. She was yelling up to him, and he didn't hear her. And that's really a significant dream symbolism. I mean, that feeling unheard. A lot of the dreams that we've talked about have some element of feeling unheard or silenced. We just went through the dream 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So let's take a good look at this dream, and let me refresh a little bit about the dreamer. The dreamer has definitely some past trauma, has some issues, but she's an overcomer. She's doing really well. She's got a beautiful family. But as far as in the marriage, that there does seem to be a bit of a disconnect between the two of them. They're both very hardworking people. They're working all the time, and trying to take care of their kids. And this often happens in young families, that between the kids and taking care of everything going on in the house and taking care of your job and incidentals and all of that sometimes the marriage gets
put on the back burner.
It does. And, I think that's unavoidable depending on the ages of the kids, but you need to compensate for that. That can't just be left that way. We need to nurture our marriages. That is such an important, and that's a big deal. We really do. I can tell you when my husband and I got together, one of the things that we did, no matter how busy, we were running a ministry, we were both working full time. I actually had 2 jobs at the time when we started the ministry.
Yeah.
That once every 3 months, we would go for a weekend getaway. Just somewhere local, but somewhere not at our house, because our house can be very distracting. And we just spent time together, just the 2 of us, going out to eat and talking and all of those things, connection things. Mm-hmm. So I think that's what this dream is about.
Yeah, it's finding connection again.
Absolutely. So let's look at Morgan in this. Morgan is in between her husband and this very tall guy, and it's a worship service, which is significant.
Yeah.
So she's actually, this is important, think about it, she's in a safe place. She is a strong Christian. She's very faithful. She is seeking God, seeking to strengthen and grow her spirituality and be connected to God. That's part of this too.
Yeah. And
there's this guy next to her. First of all, before he even tries to make contact with her, she's uncomfortable.
Right.
So she knows. And, it's important to know that that's not, as far as a dream interpretation, that's not something magical. In real life, in our amygdala, which is kind of our threat center, our fear, an emotional place, your brain has the opportunity to detect danger before you're even conscious of it. Isn't that amazing? That's an amazing thing. So in the dream, that's probably what is being indicated, is she knows this does not feel right. This is not okay. And she's like trying to stay as close to her husband. And I think she's hoping that her husband's going to notice.
Right.
But he doesn't. He's looking around everywhere else. He does not notice. So what happens next? This guy puts his arm around her. And she didn't indicate, I assume around her shoulder, because he kissed her on the forehead.
Right,
So I got to tell you, I don't think this was something trying to malign her in any way or any,
Just more uncomfortable.
It was a kiss on the forehead. She's in a safe place. She's worshiping. And he put his arm around her. My guess is around her shoulder. And and I'm going to bank this interpretation on that. So the last dream that we talked about, Dad at the door, I wonder if this other man represented her dad. There's many things it could represent.
Right, but that does fit the theme. Mm-hmm. And something
it was fatherly.
It was fatherly, right? Like a little like this, and then kind of like a little kiss on the forehead. Uncomfortable, but still like.
Now, she wouldn't let him do it. I mean, he was trying to, but she pulled away. But here's the other thing I thought, well, could it be God? She's in church, the Father, but she has a very strong relationship with the Lord. She has a lot of faith. I don't think she clearly would not feel uncomfortable about that. Unless there's something else going on in there, she could determine that. But I don't think that's likely at all.
No,
I think it could be her father and it could be stranger danger. And this really is more about the marriage and her husband than whoever that person was. Mm-hmm. So I'm just throwing that out there, that those are all possibilities. Because we want to start, while we're doing this, take a look and show you that there are many interpretations, but the one that works depends on who the dreamer is and what the dreamer feels about the interpretation. So there's always more than one interpretation.
Right.
But the right one is the one the dreamer says, oh yeah, that makes sense. That resonates with me.
The aha moment.
That aha. Epiphany.
Yeah.
I love that word, epiphany.
Epiphany.
We need to find more ways to use that in daily life. I don't know. So here she is having this great discomfort with this person standing next to her. So immediately what she's trying to do is switch places. She's trying to, kind of pull her husband to be in the middle between the man.
Right, but I don't know if he really thought it was a threat. He was already kind of looking around, and with him being
a security guard, yeah.
He's going to realize that, maybe that guy wasn't a threat.
Absolutely.
So it being perceived maybe as her father might be more relevant.
Or, see, this is great. I love when we have all these opportunities. Or some of the discord in the marriage may be really not so much dissension where one's right and one's wrong. They may have differing ideas on what is important, what is a threat, what is something they should be concerned about. And when they're not on that same page, instead of looking like maybe we need to come together on that, she may just get upset about it and she doesn't know how to communicate with him that we need to be on the same page. And I think maybe there's more of a, I'm right and you're wrong and you're hurting me by not doing what I need you to do.
Right. They have such a disconnect right now that they're never on, the same page, even though they're together at church, both worshiping, they're both in kind of like different places.
Yeah. And that's exactly what it sounds like. They're in church, they're together, they're in a safe space. She's paying attention to him looking all around. Now, in a dream where the husband's not a security guard or doing some kind of work like that, that could be he's distracted by everyone else. He's trying to see who's here, who's wearing what hat, whatever. But by the kind of work he does and having that understanding, it may be a very natural tendency for him to kind of purvey or look around the room and make sure everything was in order. That just might be a habit that he has established after years and years of being in this field. So I think that's really an important thing. And it doesn't appear that he thinks it's a threat, but it clearly appears she needs him to.
Right, protect him.
And she's upset that he doesn't.
Yeah.
So I think that's where we are. And then the next step is she's talking about in the dream that Joe looks very annoyed, that she moved him, that was all necessary, probably embarrassed.
Right.
That would be, if I were in that situation and I moved Bill next to somebody that's kind of being weird, and I can't just say, Bill, this guy's really bugging me. We don't know what Joe's seen. Then the reality is he would be really uncomfortable at that, because that's embarrassing. All of a sudden this overt, here, you go, you stand here.
Or if, they're like, I know like when I'm in the front of the church or like even in the middle, I prefer to be in the back. But like, when I'm with the kids, I like to be in like, the front or the middle. So I'm making sure that they're paying attention. But like, if they're doing something and I'm trying to get them to do something, I'm like, oh gosh, I don't want the person behind me to see them.
I know.
Pinch over there.
So I do think that, this is really more of a perceptual issue.
And maybe communication.
Yeah, I think
she would communicate with him that, what's going on, even silent, kind of like a quietness.
And then he needs to really respond compassionately. I mean, the fact is, maybe some of this exists because he does not respond in a way that is supportive of her.
Right. Being annoyed with your partner is not, something that you choose or that you want to be a quality.
That's right. And when you really are communicating with someone, you do have a responsibility to make sure your tone, your level of compassion, your sincerity, all of that is commensurate with the message you're trying to give. So if I'm counseling and somebody is telling me something kind of weird, like I am really afraid, of the dog next door, that the dog barks a lot, and I'm afraid if I go out and nobody's out and the dog's out, the dog's going to attack me. Now in my head, I may be thinking, you have no reason to believe that. I don't know how real that is, but that's not what's going to come out of my mouth. I'm going to question that individual and try and have an understanding of why this person feels that way. And that I'm going to be compassionate about. I'm going to try and understand. And if it turns out there's really no threat there, and we've now talked about this and really went through this, I'm going to present evidence of that. I'm not going to ever tell a person that what they feel is wrong, because there's no such thing as wrong or right feelings. I'm not going to patronize somebody. I mean, we have to be careful. Our words and our sincerity and our tone and our level of compassion need to line up with the message we're giving, or it's not going to be received and you could really damage somebody. So I think that there may be evidence that Joe is not responding in a proper way. And so him just, this is happening again. But once again, I actually don't know that. This is such a short dream. It would have taken a whole lot of conversation to pull all of that out of it. The idea that it was at church, that's kind of cool. Yeah. So
their spiritual foundations are both the same.
That's
they align, right.
Absolutely. With that. So the worship setting is great because it talks about spiritual connection, right? When we're worshiping God, there is a desire to be really deeply connected to our Father. Plain and simple. I don't think there needs to be anything more than that. And I think that is extremely important. It does, doesn't it? Yeah, I got to stop.
It does.
My hand looks a little lobstery. I never even gave that a consideration. The other thing about it being a spiritual place, that this little incident happened, may be saying to her that this little conflict, whatever this undertone is, it's clearly not anything profound or huge, right? But that it may be taking away from her ability to really feel spiritually connected or to feel peace, and maybe robbing her of her joy, that kind of thing. And so that may also be part of that message. And I suspect that it is. That would make sense. Lastly, I think the other thing is that the idea of Joe looking around really would more be symbolic of him being distracted. Now, he could be distracted, but the truth is, I question that because of his profession. So it could be that he's just very distracted and not paying attention to her. What's more likely is she doesn't perceive him to be paying attention to her. Not that he is or isn't. I think that really is a piece that she feels that he's standing right next to her and she is still dealing with this problem by herself. I think in a nutshell, that is exactly what that's all we needed to say. We didn't need to do anything more than analyzing the dream. Yeah. So that kind of connection, and how do we strengthen that? Doesn't mean they don't love each other. Doesn't mean they don't have a great marriage, and it doesn't mean that they're not really great in family needs. It just sometimes we take for granted our marriage so much, and we're healing from past hurts, and we're doing all of that we focus on the things that really require our focus, like our work, like our children, like all of these things. And they do. There's nothing to say that they don't. But we have to find balance in taking care of our marriage and taking care of all of the other important things around us. So I think we're dealing with a dream about needing connection, maybe not feeling emotional needs are being met, those types of things. And I hope, Morgan, this really helps. I do want to say the upswing on all of this is that in the first dream, he was upstairs. He was unavailable, okay? This time now, he's next to you. You guys are worshiping God together. He is part of what you're doing. So this is really a different, it's a little different. Mm-hmm. But
I feel like it's growth.
It is growth. But you may say, well, that's really not growth because he's right next to her and he's unaware or he's not doing anything. But I think that what Melissa said was right, that he doesn't perceive it as a threat. And that goes to a communication issue and they need to find a way to really support each other in their beliefs and how they perceive information. So that's all I got on that.
Yeah, I thought that was a good second part of a dream.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah. I do too. And I think the next one's going to be too. And we do sometimes have this happen where we dream in almost like a little series over time, and it lets us see our healing. Mm-hmm. Or if we're actually not addressing the things. Recurring dreams happen because you're not addressing something or something is not being taken care of. So I think that's really important to look at.
Yeah.
But here's something I want to say. We need dreams. Normally we have a long list of dreams that we're working from. And I think since the holidays and everything, we've pretty much exhausted a lot of that. So please send us your dreams email to dreams@daunw.com, dreams@daunw.com. You can fill out a fillable PDF form off of the website, daunw.com as well. But we really need dreams. Just make sure I have a way to contact you. Give me the information for the dream because I'm going to either need to by video, telephone, email, however that works out. So that is going to need to happen.
Yep.
And
like and subscribe.
And share.
And share videos.
Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today.
Sweet dreams.
Bye.